Hi, this is Udaya from ECSMF.com. I have taken a journey wherein I have covered near about 20 cities and near about 30 villages. And met near about thousands of people, met near about hundreds of businesses, spoken with hundreds of business owners. And given presentations to near about tens of colleges. Before that, I would like to brief you about myself. What am I? This is Udaya Moola, known distributors in Bangalore, who is selling mutual funds in the Bangalore market. I was a banker on top of near about 10 years of experience in banking circuit. I have got into my own business, which is called ECSMF, wherein I started working towards and making sure that people know how to invest in mutual fund. When I actually started the journey in the month of July, there was a bit of a transformation which I have gone through. That transformation is all about few friends of mine. One amongst them is Chandra. He actually, we had a decent discussion on a regular basis about how to make sure that we can build a whole investors base wherein people are, if I have to say 100 people, the actual people who are investing in mutual fund are near about 3 to 4 people. And the people who are being advised to invest in mutual fund, with their influence, there is another 3-4% we can add up. Altogether, we have near about 8%. One is straight investors and one are influenced investors. So if I add up both together, we have near about 8%. So 8%, what about the 92%? How to make sure that we can reach out to these people? This was the talk which I was been going through with all my advisor friends and distributor friends, and to make people aware what and all steps we have to take is something which we've been discussing on a regular basis. In the month of July, when I had a talk, he briefed me about multiple situations. So when I started getting these messages, particular talk from Narendra Modi, briefing about a general mass with regards to financial literacy, and how as an individual or as a company, from a company's side like us, we can influence or we can pitch in as a company to brief about financial literacy to the masses, and how to make sure that the products which been offered in financial markets made to be reached to the end masses. By chance, I got that video been messaged from my good old friend by name Chandra only.
भारत में म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री की एसेट अंडर मैनेजमेंट करीब 10 लाख करोड़ थी। इन 8 सालों में जून 2022 तक ये 250% बढ़कर 35 लाख करोड़ हो गई है। यानी लोग इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं, वो इसके लिए तैयार हैं। हमें चाहिए कि हम उनके लिए एजुकेशन और इंफॉर्मेशन इंश्योर करें। मैं तो कहूंगा कि हमारे युवाओं को एजुकेट करना चाहिए।
That video, I kept on getting it into my messages. Saw this particular message, I realized that there's a lot of things which happen to be needed to be done, so which he is also stressing upon. So that I realized as a company, as an individual, where I am actually now getting it involved in a big way, at least in my own levels. So then I realized if I have to reach out to masses in India, it will be very difficult. So I have to start with small. So either I have to start with a smaller area where I can cover up, and I have to meet out with the people whom I can brief. So what I realized is the best place where I can start my journey was Karnataka. The Karnataka, the whole map was somewhere we have realized is something wherein in the whole Indian map, if I have to say the whole literacy rate of across pan India is somewhere in the range of around 6 to 7%. We kept on discussing about a lot of topics with regards to financial literacy and making people aware about mutual funds and all these things. What I realized is there's something which I need to do. I could not able to make sure that what I have to do. I kept on struggling about what I can do, and what are the things that I can do which can influence this particular situation wherein people across market made aware about financial products in general. So I was just trying to see all the options. That is the day where I got an invite from Jain College to present about budget. After that, I was again been invited from Maharani College with regards to briefing about mutual fund. When I kept discussing with the students about the financial literacy itself, I realized one thing is the actual people who speak, who know about these kind of products, even in a class where I've been briefing about hundreds of normal graduate college students, I could see near about top 10% or 15% will be aware about mutual funds. What about the other 85%? This is the case in top colleges and top known institutions. What about the places like rural Karnataka? What will happen to these kind of cities wherein people are not even known about mutual funds? At least I should try it from my end, so to reach out to the masses. So that is where I realized, okay, I have to take a journey. So to make sure that I could reach out to the masses in a very big way. When I decided about this particular journey, this journey I had to take it. But how alone I can do it? No, I don't think I cannot do alone. And I will my staff who are working here, will they be able to participate? Maybe some can come along with me, but not all. And we have a very small team, and it's a very small company which I run, and very small team which I have who are actually on a day-to-day basis. We have our own ECSMF app. We have ECSMF.com website was there at that time. I have to make sure that maybe I have to do some more work on my app side so that it can be far more better approachable for the end customers. So what I did is I reworked, spoke with a lot of developers again, and I started working towards making it bit better and bit easier for the investor to invest on mutual funds. So that once we did it, wherein when we were starting, that time the investment was not that easy through an app. But now once you log in through all our website and app store with our app, you can actually, the user interface or the person who invests into mutual fund, he can invest in minutes. So that is on the app side. So that we made it easier for an investor to invest on using our app. We have to also have something like, a small team who can actually work towards building a knowledge base. So then what I realized is, yes, maybe a knowledge wise, I am the guy who can drive the market. I am the guy who can make the team aware about how to briefing the whole public. I started discussing with multiple friends of mine, and then one amongst them I could able to connect with is MASHYAL. MASHYAL BANGARAPPA is one amongst those guys who I was in need. I can keep him as one amongst my main trusted resource for any of my projects. Then he's a guy who has assisted multiple movies, who has been under a lot of directors, like even Kantar also he has assisted, who can be the main guy in our core team. He slowly introduced me to two more people. So then after all this, there we realized one thing, that yes, we have formed this whole team and all. We also need some of the flyers, t-shirts, all those things. So then what we did is we have spoken with a guy by name Manjunath. So he's the guy who actually helped me out in getting all the print material stuffed and which can be moved along with this logistics. For all these logistical issues, we need a particular vehicle to move on. Then I was being introduced to Mithun. He's a guy who is a driver cum owner of Tempo Traveler, and with lot of knowledge what he has in the local areas, we could able to go through with lot of these things. And we have a team who can capture all these things. Then what we did is we framed out what and all we have to do, in where we have to do it, what and all the options which we have to take, all those things. We realized we need to chart out a journey plan, wherein from which city we have to start, where to start, because the timeline is only 10 days. In this 10 days, we have to make sure that, because July is the period wherein we have to file taxes, and I had a very short time because I have to come back and I have to file taxes for my other investors as well. So what I realized is there's a very less time which I have in hand, and in this 10 days time, I have to make sure that I have to come back to make sure that my day-to-day activities can be continued. So I had a gap between, say for example, August first 2 weeks. In these 2 weeks, we have to cover up near about 10 days of shoot across Karnataka to make sure that we reach out to the complete masses. So in these 10 days, we had planned for 7 days outside Bangalore and 3 days within Bangalore. If I have to meet multiple colleges on prime cities, it would be really tough. So what we did is it was not Friday evening, it was Thursday evening we planned, so that Friday morning we can reach out to Belgaum.
After a very long journey from Bangalore to Belgaum, we just reached now.
So what was Belgaum all about? Belgaum is a known place for sweets, temples, and it is one of the oldest city of Karnataka. It has always been known for border between Maharashtra and Karnataka, wherein Belgaum has always been considered as integral part of both states. So if you can see, the people who are in Karnataka have multiple language skills. Each part of Karnataka has their own way of speaking with their own people. So if I have to say a Karnataka with a Kannada language is spoken in Belgaum in a very different way, with a lot of Marathi influence or a lot of local influences, where the language will be completely different because of the borders which it's shared with. So that and all we realized. On top of it, we also were aware that there are a lot of sweets which is famous for. It is also known as Kunda Nagari, known for Kunda sweet, and there are a lot of colleges that it's known for. So before heading towards Belgaum, what I realized is we have to speak with the local people there, local business people there, and on top of it, we also have to speak with people or institutions who can actually pass it on to multifold people. So one among those colleges whom we realized was KLE College. And then that day morning, it was actually 5 o'clock, visited the local Lakshmi temple, and then once we got the blessings of our goddess Lakshmi, we headed towards the local places. So because it was early where we were in Belgaum, what we did was we approached the local auto people whom we kept on briefing them about how to invest in mutual fund, why to invest in mutual fund, how well they can grow if they keep on saving a small amount, if they keep on investing in mutual funds. So that is something which we kept on giving impetus on, wherein we kept on saying that mutual fund is a tool which can actually help in future growth. If a person like an auto driver who is there in Belgaum, if he saves at least 500 rupees a day, he can generate similar kind of income whatever he is saving now after 3-4 years in the form of dividends. So these are all the things which we kept on briefing them about, the saving, benefits of saving, mutual fund alone, all those things we kept on briefing them about it. Then I got a very surprising question from one of the auto driver saying that our expenses are so much that we cannot meet them up with our incomes. How can we save? So what I always say about this particular, think of saving, then spending. So work towards first how much you can save, how much is your income. Out of that, at least 20% you have to say. For example, you should never say what is your expenses. You should always think of what is your income, and in that how much you can save. So if I have to say, if your income is 100 rupees, you should think of saving how much? 20 rupees. After by doing all this, I think it was around 10:30, 11 o'clock. So we realized, okay, we had to go towards KLE College. So we just are going to enter in KLE College, Belgaum. So we don't know what's going to happen there, as it's ad hoc entry. We have not taken any permission. Let's see what's going to happen. We'll speak with the principal of the college. It's a good day which we started with auto promotions and all. I think this will be a game changer for us if they give us the permission. I think students will also appreciate what we are going to do, what we are going to present with them. So let's see. Once we headed towards KLE College, then what happened was we spoke with the principal. Principal wholeheartedly welcomed us, and she said this is very much needed for them so that they can actually put it across to their students as a knowledge gaining session. Principal was very supportive. Their auditorium was under construction. They could not able to give us the auditorium, but they had given us a space. Who are RBI reporting to? Almost of the banking system and NBFCs, they report to RBI. So securities market. What is securities market? Stocks, shares, all these things come under securities, right? So what happens? Ventures, all the securities come under, who is the reporting body there? SEBI, right? All these companies will report to SEBI, right? With regards to what? Share capital, with regards to bond market, right? So for example, a bank who is also a registered company, they will report to SEBI when it comes to share capital, debentures issued, right? So it's quite, it can be clubbed together. It can also be as per the securities and all, whatever it is involved, the term, the regulatory bodies will differ. So that's an asset management company which takes care of all your funds. Wherever SEBI is involved, there is no interest. Clear? It's always dividend. Debentures give dividend or interest, right? So interest is something which is related to RBI. Clear? So whenever SEBI is involved, what you will get? Dividend. What I am saying is, when it comes to tools, FD, mutual fund, shares, debentures, gold, NSE, KVP, right? Bonds, all those things. So always invest keeping goal in mind. A father or a mother thinks about saving at the age of 30-35 for a kid who is around 5 years or 6 years, right? He will be thinking about education, marriage, all these things for kids. For himself, he will be thinking very less. See, I'll tell you, property is a very big debate. So if you save it for 10-20 years, you're definitely going to make money, right? Which will beat inflation also. But for 1 or 2 years, no. And it will be a liability for you. Property I'm telling you about, right? I told you in the example, no? If you have a building, it will be a liability till it becomes an asset, right? Very simple logic. Mutual funds, it's very easy to manage and it can always beat inflation if you invest in the right product. Every country earlier used to hedge their gold to issue currencies, right? Now they are not doing it, right? So what people have to do is, they are hedging their gold so that the rupee value, if it falls also, they are hedging that gold with that particular rupee, right? Right? Bonds, will it beat inflation? No. So they all are like this, then where to invest, yeah? Diversification. Clear? If you have to beat your inflation thing, you should always be diversified, right? Sometimes stocks will give you very good returns, sometimes gold will hedge your returns, sometimes mutual fund will give you superlative returns, properties will always give you very good returns. I'll just give you an example. Gold goes high, property will go high, right? If these two go high, inflation will be down or high? Property cost is going up. Inflation will go high or will go down? Inflation will go high. If inflation will go high, to curb inflation, what RBI will do? Regulator of banks, what he will do? He will increase interest rates. If he increases interest rates, bonds will also go high, FD will also go high. If everything goes high, if a person wants to take loan from you, if a company wants to take loan from you, I as a company, you as a banker, I will come to you for a loan. Earlier I used to pay 9%. Now bank will say it will be 10% or 11%. I will incur loss or not? Then stocks will go down or go up? stock valuation will go down or will go up? My shares value will go down or will go up? Right? Understand the logic. You understood the logic? Clear? Are you clear or not? Everything is interlinked. You know, there are around 10-15 options of investing. Right? There are 10-15 options which are there. Right? You should have everything for a purpose. Right? Just imagine you are going to complete your education in 1 year's time. You have to get involved into a master's. Your father has to save around 10-15 lakhs. Right? Will he invest in a risky asset or will he invest in a low risk asset? So where he'll invest in? Bank deposit. Right? So that's what it is. Your purpose should be very clear. Whether it's for long term or short term, whether it is for short term goal or long term goal. So it should fit in. So whether your investment should fight inflation, right? There should be an objective. Whether you should provide income when you need it, right? That means you are able to complete your degree next year. In 1 year's time, your father has to accumulate 10-15 lakhs. And if he is already having 10-15, the longer you stay in the market, higher will be your returns, right? And the shorter you stay in the market, risk will be more, the uncertainty will be more. So, we just finished the presentation in college. People got to know a lot about mutual fund, and principal and the students, they all welcomed us with wholeheartedly. They were like, spellbound with the knowledge which they got in this whole session. But it was a very lengthy session, but we all had a good time during this period. Hope we may be visiting again with them separately, not because of this journey, otherwise also.
So that knowledge gap is quite evidential, but yes, the interest to learn more was evident with these people, and the level of interest which they have shown, we just cannot match it. So then what I started discussing about it, I kept on speaking about mutual funds, benefits of investing in mutual funds, how stock markets does work, how financial systems does work, in that how you as a person, as an individual, if you invest in a mutual fund, what are the benefits. All these things we kept on briefing about it in KRA College. We spent almost 2 to 3 hours there, even though it was the last session for the day, because their college starts from 7 o'clock and this was the last class, and they were been told to stay back for 1 or 2 hours. They kept on staying with us beyond that. So that is where I realized interest is there. The only thing is they are not getting the information. So that is where I started thinking about, these kind of informative sessions will make them much more aware about financial literacy in general. So that is where I realized keep tapping to these colleges will help in improving the knowledge levels in general.
This is an attempt from our side to make sure that the information about mutual fund.
With KRA College, once we finished, we kept on connecting with a lot of local business people.
That time when we realized it was a eye-opener for us that yes, what we had taken step was actually in the right direction. The financial literacy rate is actually low and we have to work towards improving it. So what I realized is after Belgaum, the next targeted city was, or the twin city was, Dharwad Hubli. So Dharwad Hubli is a place where we plan to visit. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಮಿಶ್ರಪೇಡ ಧಾರವಾಡ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಓನರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹಂಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಹಂಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪೇಡ ಕೂಡ ತಿನ್ನೋಣ ಅಂತ. That we will be targeting only the sweet stalls and the hotel owners. As planned, we reached out to all the sweet stalls. Some of the sweet stalls were forthcoming. There were sweets on the house for us when we visited them. There are a lot of sweets been offered from local sweet shops. And then what we did is we realized that the knowledge gap is there when it comes to mutual fund in general over there as well. So what we did is we kept on briefing about the benefits of investing in mutual fund for each and every street stall owner.
Mutual fund is actually one more tool. You must investment model long term you will get a lot of benefits.
As well as local merchants there, and then we also spoke with some of the auto drivers there. There also we spoke in general about mutual fund awareness there.
It's completely a village. We are just trying to educate people about mutual fund here.
And then we headed towards Hubli.
Mutual fund mutual fund ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? Mutual fund ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
There's a very big college called KLE where we spoke extensively over there with regards to the benefits of investing in mutual fund. Because it was Saturday afternoon, we could not able to present there as the time was already over and most of the students were already not there in Hubli, so we could not able to do much there. But yeah, one thing is we actually spoke in general with a lot of locals, business people, and then we had a nice meal there in some Karavali, which is known for the lunch there. Then we completed the journey in Hubli. It was a good experience for us where we kept on briefing about investing in mutual fund and as well as financial literacy in Dharwad and Hubli on Saturday. We headed towards Bagalkot. We did actually spoke with some local shops in Bagalkot because it was late night. We could not able to shoot it. The same day we headed towards Vijaypura. So by the time we reached Vijaypura, it was already late night, somewhere around 12 o'clock we reached there. Immediately checked into the hotel there, and then once we reached, we planned it on the same night. It's actually Vijaypura, a very big city which is known for Gol Gumbaz. Vijaypura is a place which is well known for a religious mix of both Hindus and Muslims. And we can see that across the city that it's very peacefully co-lived amongst two different religions without any issues at all. Once we headed towards the hotel, once we stayed back.
Discussion the investments, mutual fund ಹೆಂಗೆ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತಲುಪಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ.
So what we did is we charted out all the things, whatever we were planning, to speak out with lot of local influences. Plus also we'll speak with a lot of local business people.
I can actually brief you how to invest in mutual fund ತರ. ಏನು ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಏನು ಇದು general awareness.
And then we had a good night's sleep because we were continuously in action for 2-3 days. We were running short of sleep. You can see any person who stays active for 2-3 days continuously without sleep will actually surrender to it at some point. And Vijaypura was that day wherein we actually got up late. Then too, we were actually behind plan. We were actually wanted to get up at 7 o'clock, but we could not able to do that. So we actually ultimately got up at 10 o'clock and then head towards local businesses. So now what we did is we were planning ourselves for meeting with local influencers. Influencers came one after the other. We had a very healthy, fruitful discussion about mutual funds with all the local influencers there and got to know more about how they speak about the topic in general with regards to any topic which they take up. And they also said for financial literacy, they are all for it and they will be pushing the knowledge passing thing which we have started up to their own general people, their own followers. So once we had a very favorable discussion with local influencers there, Then one amongst the local influencer actually spoke with his contact, who is Murugesh. Murugesh is actually known college lecturer as well as the dean there in BLED College, Vijaypura. Once he realized that okay, we are there to inform about financial literacy, present the whole presentation on financial literacy as well as knowledge on mutual fund in their college on Monday. The plan was not to stay in Vijaypura on that day. This was a request coming from one amongst the influential people in Vijaypura, and we stayed back so that we can continue for Vijaypura next day. Once we got to know that we have to stay back for one more day, then what we realized is the work which we were thinking of doing it on an extensive basis when it comes to connecting with local business owners. We did it far more effectively on that day in Vijaypura, and then we had to visit the local mall. So before visiting to the local mall, we spoke with one amongst the known business families there. One amongst the people whom I actually spoke was Ajay Ligar, and his father was also very helpful with us when it comes to discussing and speaking about financial literacy in general over the period in that particular business houses. So once we had a lengthy discussion in all the business houses, what we realized is we will head towards the local mall. There once we spoke, initially the permissions were not being provided. Then when I spoke and requested personally to CEO of the company, he has gone all the way out to help us out, to give us some space to help us out with spreading the awareness with the local public. So that was something which I have to thank the mall owner.
He has actually given permission. We are very thankful to Galaxy Group and especially Shetty. We will be working towards giving some good presentation and giving awareness to the students about mutual fund.
And then maybe because it's a big place, there was a local mall which was known over there, whom we can connect to for promoting our brand as well as mutual fund in general.
ECSMF. We had a good day in Vijaypura.
So that is where we ended that day, and then next day morning we checked out the hotel.
There are a lot of paper inserts across Vijaypura. We just had a very good cutting chai near Gandhi Chowk. I think it's very refreshing. I would recommend everyone who is coming down here, Vijaypura, to have this cutting chai. It's early morning 4 o'clock in Vijaypura, and now we are just trying to see whatever the layers which we have with the help of our guy who takes care of paper inserts.
And then we headed towards BLED College. BLED College was one amongst the best colleges in North Karnataka which we have seen, at least with the campus which they have. We entered and we spoke with Murugesh, who is the main person in BLED College, given us one amongst the biggest auditorium that we can get. And then we in general presented about the benefits of investing in mutual funds.
Mr. Udaya, who is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Bangladesh. Not only students, thank you very much for holding the back. I think this we have begun in the year 2016 at Koti Pariksha Abhiyana with an initiative taken by our President of this BLED Association.
We had come through a very big introduction, I think, right? For me, it was first of its kind. So, rupee value will always depreciate over the period if you're in a inflationary market. Currency value. If you're in a deflationary market, okay. Right. 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 Yes. Yes. Right. Right. But what happens is, this particular period, whatever you have saved, you would have saved in different periods with different values in place. So after some time, if someone is earning a lakh, and if he is saving 50% of this amount in a particular saving tool, after 10 years, you can, at the rate of 10 or 15%, you're bound to get the same amount of income after 10 years. So that means if you are saving at say 1 lakh, 50,000 you're saving up, so that will also compound at the rate of 10%. You are bound to get somewhere in the range of 1 lakh after 10 years, because the power of compounding will help you after 10 years. So what happens is, during the period, what will happen is, this will keep on adding to your kitty, which gives you much more purchasing power. So what is the whole thing about all this is, inflation is always there. How are you going to participate your money into, which are assets which you are going to participate into, which can always beat the inflation, is what the whole thing is all about. So what I'm saying is, inflation will always be there. The only way you can explore me is by asking me what I have.
When you don't have anything, so how to earn? You ask the person where you money, but you don't have money.
The more you know about wealth creation, the more you know about wealth, maintaining wealth, all this thing, the better for you actually. You should keep working towards building your portfolio.
All these things, we had almost 2 to 3 hours of brief about investment awareness in general, and then we slowly moved on to the next. And the people who are there are very knowledgeable people, but again the gap I can literally see in every college, that only top 10-15% are very much well informed about the subject or financial literacy. But what about the rest 85%? They are still not that known to personal finance or financial literacy in general. So that is something which I could able to address it to a level. But still, this kind of informative session should happen on a regular basis. Then only a person can actually come up to that level of knowledge, so that he can keep investing in it. Funds, mutual funds, or any of these kind of products. Then once we had a very healthy and fruitful discussion in BLAD college, and then once we finished with the presentation, then it was time for us to move on from BLAD college as well as Vijaypura. Vijaypura, if I have to say, has been really one amongst the best cities in that warmth, so that I can start sharing more about information related to mutual fund alone and in general financial literacy. ECSMF as an app has actually been used as a tool in those places now, and been effectively been used so to invest in mutual funds there. So Vijaypura was the place there. We spent 2 days, but it was not even a minute I can say that we have wasted on. So then we had to wrap it up, Vijaypura, and we had to head towards the next cities and make it far more 2 sessions there, and then we should increase the speed as well as we should cover more cities in less time. We planned for Raichur and Ballari. Now from North Karnataka we are heading towards a place which is actually connected border wise to Andhra, so which has a lot of Telugu influence there. It's a mix of Telugu and Kannada which we can find in these places, wherein we headed towards Raichur. Raichur and Ballari, if I have to say, they are actually known for agriculture. One amongst those people who are actually dependent on predominantly on agriculture. So then, once we entered there, we spoke with a lot of mill owners, a lot of shops, local vegetable vendors. And then by the time we finished in Raichur, it was already 8:30. So we stayed overnight there, and early morning we had to leave Raichur. Once we stayed overnight in Raichur, we headed towards Ballari. Ballari also we have connected to a lot of local vendors, businesses. Surprising for us, a lot of police people in Ballari were keen on knowing more about mutual funds there. So now after Ballari, then we had headed towards some of the local villages, and then we headed towards Chalikere.
ಏನೇ ಡೌಟ್ ಇದ್ರೂ ನಮಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. 97. Thank you, sir.
After visiting Chalikere, it was already late night. We headed towards Chitradurga.
and we stayed overnight in a local hotel. By the time we were planning with some 3-4 colleges to present in Chitradurga alone, the only thing which was actually happening was we were not having time by our hand. We were actually delayed, but on top of it, we had very bad weather during this phase. We had to stop in between because of the rain only. So because of all these obstructions also, we could able to catch hold of each and every city and could able to pass on the information about financial literacy as well as mutual fund. So then we headed towards Chitradurga and we stayed there for the night, and early morning we had to plan for next ahead forward in Chitradurga. So what we did is we got actually permission from Don Bosco Chitradurga. So wherein Don Bosco is one among the known colleges in local city. So what we did is we spoke with them in general, and there we had actually spent time. Over a period of time, what we realized is, okay, there were 2-3 colleges who actually had given us permission. In that, SJM college and Don Bosco had actually made us get this thing, but there were 2 other colleges whom we actually had the permission, but they could not able to. There was a time lag which we had, so we had to discontinue one college.
Fixed deposit. Savings deposit is you save your money in a bank account, right? Now from bank account you will park it into your FD, right? But from bank account you can also park your money into a mutual fund. What is mutual fund? Mutual fund from prospective investors, which gets pooled in and managed by a professional manager who is called fund manager. He will in turn will do what? Will be investing in various securities to make sure that the profits are better placed for him to be passed on to the investor, which can be better than a FD, you know, right? FD. So they will always work towards what? Profit maximization. They would always work towards increase in the investment value, right? So normally will be ETFs. Otherwise also there are a lot of passive funds. Debt fund is what? Debt is something which is called fixed in nature. And we have other funds which are like ETF, gold. How many shares are listed in NSE? 1700 shares listed. That can go up and down. What is market capitalization? You have around 100 shares. Owner of that share will be having 60% of the shares. The one which is 40%, which are open in the market, they get valued.
Thereafter, we headed towards local business owners there. We had given a lot of informative sessions to a lot of employees of some of the businesses there and some of the shop owners. And thereafter, we headed towards Davangere. Davangere and Chitradurga are almost considered as twin cities. Actually entered into Davangere, the time was already over for colleges. Permission which we could able to take it, we could not able to go on time there. So that was something which we realized that was a problem there. But otherwise, we actually had 2 good colleges whom we presented, and we had connected with a lot of businesses there in general and public in general.
ಈ ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಇಂದ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೈಡ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ನೀವು ಬರೋ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ತಿಂಗಳ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬಹಳ ದುಡ್ಡು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಸೈಡ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಬರೋ ತರ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ SIP ಅಂತ ಅದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಈಗ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು, ಆಯಿತಾ? ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ ಟು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್. ಈ 500 ರೂಪಾಯಿನೂ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. Along with mutual fund, we are also selling chips.
And we have started briefing them about mutual fund as well as financial literacy, and then we moved on to Shimoga. Shimoga and Bhadravati, those 2 cities are known as twin cities again. They are actually known for sugarcane and all this arkanat paddies. and then they're also known for Bhadravati river. So these two cities are something which is one amongst the known commercial hubs in local Karnataka. So these places, what we did is we went directly to the markets, local vendors who are selling all this local items like rice, wheat and all those things on a very wholesale price. So we head towards the local markets. We spoke with people there, connected with a lot of businesses. People were very forthcoming. The only thing which we were lacking was time. Otherwise, people were always wanted to know more about financial literacy as well as this thing. So we covered Shimoga and Bhadravati by the night, and we headed towards Udupi that night. After this lengthy time, wherein in a single day we covered Chitradurga, Davangere, Shimoga, Bhadravati, 4 cities in one day, it is not highly impossible, humanly not possible at all. But yes, as a team, we did all this together in one go, and in this we actually presented in 2 colleges on top of all this. And with less food, no power in our this thing, the people were draining out. We were actually having this thing, but there's no power behind. So everyone actually completely drained out, and we just, after food, we just all were almost on the seat, one amongst the difficultest of travels which we covered for the whole night. Lot of fog, rain, lot of things. Some of the glimpses you'll just see how it was. Just have a look at it. Then I'll head and I'll reach you at Udupi after this journey.
ಇದಾಯ್ತು ಒಂಥರ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆದಂಗೆ ಆಯ್ತು
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಈ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ.
And that journey I still remember, that night when we were heading towards Udupi, that was not at all a night which any of us will forget in our whole lifetime. So as we covered most of the places from north to middle and to the other side of borders which is related to Maharashtra as well as Andhra, we now are in the seashore of the place which is called Udupi. Which starts from Udupi, where Udupi is one among the known places which is known for Krishna temple and lot of other seaside food and seaside cuisine, and as well as South Indian cuisine as in general. Dosa and all is very much staple food over here, and on top of it, Udupi and Manipal and some of these places are known for some of the biggest universities India has in general. So if I have to say, Mahe is one amongst the biggest medical as well as management as well as engineering university it has. So what we did is we covered up a lot of these colleges as well as the students there, and we spoke with a lot of business owners.
ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಇದು ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ತರ ಸರ್. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು SBI ಅಂದ್ರೆ SBI ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು, ICICI ಅಂದ್ರೆ ICICI. ಈಗ ನೀವು SBI ಹಾಕಿ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು SBI ಅಲ್ಲಿ 100 ಫಂಡ್ ಇದಾವೆ, ICICI ಅಲ್ಲಿ 100 ಫಂಡ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಫಂಡ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಡೌಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಡೌಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿ ಸಿಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ.
And a lot of religious people there, and we just took their advices on how to make sure that this financial literacy can be taken forward in a big way. So it was one amongst the informative journey in Udupi, after which we headed towards Mangalore. And Mangalore is one amongst those places which is known for ports, fishery, or in those kind of businesses. The people who are staying in those areas are very much dependent on transport, port-oriented businesses, or they are into fisheries, or in general agriculture as such.
So and on top of it, they're also known for petroleum and other refineries and all those things. After Udupi, we headed towards Mangalore. Mangalore was really nearby to Udupi. What we did is we covered Mangalore. In no time, we made sure that we headed towards all the local businesses. We made people aware about the knowledge which they have about investing is far less known than what it has to be informed to. Say for example, the people whom they are actually known over there is predominantly FD, fixed deposit, fixed NCD, and then chits and some of this kind of things. Chits is one amongst the local saving tool which most of these places people use it. So what we as people who we always say is chit is one amongst the tool which you can save, but is it reliable? Are the people who running these chits are they trustworthy? Is something which you should always question. There are some very old companies who run these chits are very reliable. Other than that, who are those people whom we can trust on? Very less. So, but when it comes to mutual funds or any other financial tools which we speak of, they are highly regulated and very much governed by the institutions like SEBI as well as AMFI. So this will actually give them far more secured way of investing than compared to chits. So why? Because a credit risk is far superior than a risk of fluctuation. So that means what? If markets go up and down, you can still survive that fluctuation rather than a default from your chit that he will not pay you back the whole amount what you have saved. He is far more riskier than there is a fluctuation in the market. At least you are expected to get something when markets are falling. But when it comes to a default in credit, you will not see the whole money itself. So these are all the things which we kept on briefing about the locals there. Then the information gap is somewhat we felt as if it's getting fulfilled or it's getting linked. But is it enough? No, it needs far more such sessions to happen on a regular basis so that they can come up to that knowledge levels which they are looking at. And that is where I see that, on a regular basis we have to get involved into these kind of things with the locals. But from my side, whatever I can do is what I am doing now. Going forward, let's see how it works. So Mangalore is somewhere we covered up, and then after Udupi, Mangalore, we headed towards Chikmagalur. And early morning we planned in Chikmagalur on how to go about it in Chikmagalur alone. Chikmagalur is again is one of the most known places for what? Coffee plantation. So before heading towards Chikmagalur, we had a long drive. By the time we reached Chikmagalur,
Coffee Nadu Chandu namagoskara ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ time spend ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So Coffee Nadu namdu ECSMF app anta mutual fund ಬಗ್ಗೆ. One amongst the biggest Puneet fan, Mr. Chandu is here. He is called Coffee Nadu Chandu. Chandu ಅವರೇ, ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸಾಂಗ್ ನಿಮ್ಮಿಂದ ECSMF ಬಗ್ಗೆ.
ಕಾಫಿ ನಾಡೆ ಚಂದು ಚಂದು ನೀವೇ ನನ್ನ ಬಂದು ಶಿವಣ್ಣನವರ ಅಭಿಮಾನಿ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ECSMF ಕಂಪ್ನಿಯವರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರಿಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗಲಿ, ಮೇಲಿರೋ ಭಗವಂತ, ನನ್ನ ಪುನೀತಣ್ಣ, ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ಶಿವಣ್ಣ ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗಲಿ, ಇವ್ರ ಕಂಪನಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನಡೀಲಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ECSMF ಈ ಕಂಪನಿಯಿಂದ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ದೇವರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಾನು ಪುನೀತಣ್ಣ, ಶಿವಣ್ಣನವರ ಅಭಿಮಾನಿ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಜನತೆಗೆ ಕಾಫಿನಾಡು ಚಂದು ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. ECSMF ಕಂಪನಿ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗಲಿ, ಈ ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
Hassan. Mutual fund alone, all this we kept on briefing them about it.
Okay, ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ ಜಿಲೇಬಿ. I just prepared my own jalebi. Please try. Marshall, give me your feedback. Thank you, sir. Mithun, please see. Give me the feedback. How was my jalebi? Manju?
Oh, sir, super, sir.
I only prepared it. And I also briefed him how to invest in mutual fund. by saving this amount. Okay, this is what I am having. Okay.
So during the journey, we had an issue somewhere near Belur. Vehicle for the first time had some trouble over this much long drive. There, what happened was it has to be, the engine need to be repaired or whatever it is. So we actually had to wait for some time there in Belur. So what we did was we were waiting for the Belur in that. It was like a bus stop or something like that. There, some of the people, locals, they started noticing that we were having trouble there. So then what they said is, till the time this gets sorted, why can't we visit the local temple there? So that we'll also get local God's blessing. Belur, which was not planned from ourselves, even though we had targeted some of the villages around it, Belur, we went across the city, we had visited the temple, we took the blessings of the god, and then once we are out of the temple, we spoke with lot of local vendors and as well as the local people there. We had some of the good fine dishes there, and then by the time we complete the darshan, and then our vehicle also was get ready, and then we headed towards Madikeri. So Madikeri, you know, right? It is one among the scenic places. It is called Switzerland of Karnataka or something like that. So, you know, or Kashmir of Karnataka or something like that. We went to that city very late night, 7:30. We reached Madikeri. Because we were running short of time, we had to cover that place on that same day and head towards Mysore. Once we reached Mysore, we were there by around 1 o'clock. Plan was to exit Mysore really fast. We have to get up really early. So what we did is we all put an alarm because we had a lengthy day travel before that. Before that also, at least for 2-3 days continuously, we were keep on moving to cover up all the shortfalls. Even though it was heavy rains, we could able to cover a lot of these places mainly because of the guy by name Mithun. He has driven like anything. In that rainy period, we had one amongst the best driver to drive, and that guy actually drove really well for us to cover most of the places. And the time when we were in Mysore, I could able to see that we covered almost 80% of the state with 4,000 kilometers drive. That can happen only because he was there. So credit to Mithun on that particular part. Yes. After that, what happened is when we got up early in Mysore, we already planned it up. Mysore is the cultural capital of Karnataka. Even though Bangalore is the capital of Karnataka, Karnataka is always been known when it comes to cultural side of it. Mysore will be the town which will come out first. And if I have to say Mysore as a place, it was known for what? Mysore is known for palace. And after Bangalore, if some big city is there, it is actually Mysore. And Mangalore is also one amongst the known cities over there. If someone has to say anything about Mysore, the first word which will come out is palace. Mysore Palace and Dasara festival. These two are the ones which will always come out first. And we actually scouted around places wherein we can find out where we can get involved in on financial literacy alone. But yes, because it's a capital of culture, finance may take backstage there. But still, we headed towards some of the marketplaces. Even though we visited the palace, once we came out of the palace, we went across the local businesses. And once we headed towards local businesses, there are a lot of questions came out prominently. One was, main question which came out was, mutual fund is very risky, sir. How can we invest? So what I said is,
you can only register yourself. Yeah, 1 minute, I'll just show you now. So for example, you are saving 1,000 rupees every month.
Okay, then.
For 10 years. Expected rate of returns is 10%. The total amount invested is 1,20,000 rupees. You have earned 2,06,000 rupees. in the form of 10 years.
Mutual fund is risky till you know the risk involved in mutual fund, right? So you should know what actually is a risk which is involved in mutual fund. If you know the risk, a known risk will always mitigate your unknown risk actually. So what happens is, if for example in a mutual fund, if I have to say, the known risk is markets may go up and down, you may lose money because of the fall in the market. If I have to say, there are few things which are there in the markets which in mutual funds which can help you out in actually timing this up and down in the markets. So one is a debt fund which is not invested into any of these market related products, but it will give you steady returns, but it has its own inherent risk like duration, credit risk, all those things. If you keep knowing about all this, you will be aware about how well you can earn more money in investing in these kind of funds and get good returns as compared to an FD where risk is almost similar. Now that is one side of the debt. Now if I have to say, you want to make bit more money than debt, but you don't want to risk your capital also, then you have something like hybrid and some of this mixed version of equity and debt which can fluctuate the participation and which will focus towards giving you higher returns, but also will work towards safeguarding your capital. So this is the second version of the one which gives you better returns. First is a debt which can actually give you risk-free returns, but then not exactly 100% risk-free, but there is risk involved in any investment horizon. Even FD has an involved risk. So if you say you will get risk-free returns in any of the instrument, that is a myth, which I feel, but again that can be contested. But otherwise, if I have to say, everything has a risk involved in it. Now if I have to say a debt fund which is there in the market, in that if I have to say a similar return which can give you better than an FD, why can't you get involved into a debt fund? Now once debt fund is through, now you have a fund which can actually safeguard your capital, but the return which you are getting can be compensated for a better returns in future. So that is hybrid fund, which is a mix of debt and equity. Now complete equity, in that also you can play around with some of the themes which can actually give you far better returns with risk being low. So that's how you should keep working towards assessing the product and the risk involved in it, and how you can make money out of it by knowing the risk in it and make yourself grow while you invest in similar kind of products. It's all about knowing your risk in a particular fund. That's how it is when you are investing into any funds. So this is what I feel when it comes to mutual funds, knowing your risk involved in a fund where you have invested in. People kept on listening to this. They took a lot of time. They given a lot of time, even though it was a busy time in Mysore, where it was a season for them, where rainy season, still they took out time for me to know more about mutual fund alone. Completed the Mysore journey with the team, and then we headed directly towards Tumkur. Tumkur, as you say, it's one of the top 5 cities in Karnataka. So where we actually headed towards some of the busiest streets.
One day, 130 rupees. So if you multiply this one meal into 30 days, is near about 3,000 3,900. So you make it as 400. One meal a day will save you 400 rupees for yourself. That 4,000 rupees you can start investing every month. I'm just giving you an example. That can actually yield you somewhere in the range of 10 lakhs, at least 5 lakhs plus. So that is a level of compounding. This is after 10 years at the rate of 12%. So
we covered some of the main places. We briefed more about mutual funds, a lot of financial literacy discussions with the local businessmen. So now we completed Tumkur and The last destination is back home, Bangalore. We completed a tedious travel of almost 8+ days. But yeah, if things would have been much more swift, like we were not having much rains, we were not being delayed here and there, we could have covered some more places. But still, this was one amongst the best result I would have ever expected, considering all the circumstances what we had faced. And then after which, if I have to say, I had went back to Bangalore with complete satisfaction that yes, this is something which I had to do it and I had done it. Suddenly the followers for us has increased. Instagram, meaning flooded with 3 lakh plus now followers, and I need to say that this was never expected from my side. That was something which we could able to say that in this 7 or 8 days we could able to cover 4,000 plus kilometers with near about 20 cities, near about 30 places, 30 villages plus, and scenic beauties of unlimited things which we've seen on every drive. And then we have spoken with thousands of people. We have presented near about hundreds and thousands in numbers. I just don't have words to say about that drive. Once we came back to Bangalore, the next which we did was visiting the next college, which was St. John.
Good morning everyone. Our guest speaker for today, Mr. Moola,
to present the memento to our guests as a token of appreciation and gratitude.
So it's a very good mix of crowd I feel which we are having now. How many of you are from MCOM? How many stocks are listed in NSE? Top 50 of National Stock. How many shares are listed in NSE? 1,700 up and down, right? Some will get delisted, some will get listed. So normally the range is on 1,700, right? And how many are in BSE? Around 5,000 up and down, meaning some are listed, some are gets delisted. Okay, so now we understood mostly each other. Top 50 stocks which represents 1,700 shares of NSE. What is Sensex? Top? So we have to be very much learning, right? Let's start it one more time. I want everyone to answer, right? What is Nifty? Top 50 shares of? Which represents how much? Okay, so you should know what is the source and what is the end purpose, right, of that particular product, whatever you are selling. So what is mutual fund? What is source? Pool of funds. That you answered. What is the end use? To purchase securities. And in some cases what happens is a lot of commitments, loans, that, this and all, right? So you should always analyze what is your salary, how much is your spending, how much is your earning, and how much is your savings, right? So that is what it is. If your salary is 40,000 rupees, if I divide that into 60-40, how much it would be? 24,000. You should recalculate your spendings after
saving. What is your end goal will be like? So for example, 10 years afterwards you want to have something of your own that can be targeted only by savings, right? If you keep investing on products, it will not fetch you returns. If you keep investing on a company which produces these products, will actually can support you in beating the inflation, right?
And then we also visited some of the busiest IT parks in Bangalore.
Product name is ITI Long-Term Equity Fund, which gives you ATC benefit also, and which also has a long-term benefits. It is an open-ended firm for 3 years lock-in. In general, we have briefed about a lot of new investment options in various tech parks. So today we have actually briefed more about ATC and benefits for the employees, what they can get by investing in mutual funds.
The journey across other than Bangalore was fantastic, and then the ending in Bangalore was also mind-blowing. This is just to start from my side. I will make sure that I will be there to make sure that this literacy or passing on the literacy thing, the knowledge passing thing will continue from here on. If Karnataka is complete, we are heading towards next state and the next state and the next state till we complete the whole India itself.
There are a lot of ups and downs in my life. I have seen a lot of people. They are good, they are bad, they are ugly. But whenever I have seen myself growing, I have always seen Mother Nature supporting me. I feel in any case, at any point of time, if I have to connect back and to get my strength back, it has always been nature where I have fallen back to. There are people who have always seen good side of me, bad side of me, but again I have also seen a lot of good faces, bad faces and bad phases and good phases in my life, all been because of the strengths which I have seen on myself. I have improved on whatever I have been working on. Yep. And every time I have improved on myself, I have seen growth. That is where I see Mother Nature helping me out.
So that is the target which I am facing, which I will be looking into. So keep following us to know more about journey across various states also. And I think this kind of journey was needed for me to make myself know more about me and to make sure that I can do something for the society in general. Thank you for watching.